Just when you think the Dingle patriarch finally has his life sorted, the writers pull the rug right out from under us. A phone call, a speeding car, and suddenly Cain Dingle is left bleeding out on the tarmac. Blimey. And if that wasn't enough to get your heart racing, wait until you hear who's been caught red-handed snooping around Home Farm. We've got secret alliances, a massive hospital blunder, and a marriage quite literally hanging by a thread. Put the kettle on, grab a biscuit, and let's get straight into what is shaping up to be an absolutely explosive week in the village. Let's start with spoiler 1, Robert Sugden and Ross Barton. Let that sink in for a second, because the absolute cheek of these two forming any sort of alliance is brilliant television, considering their chaotic, often violent past. But needs must when the devil drives, and the devil right now is Joe Tate. It seems Robert is utterly desperate to wipe that mystery video of Victoria and John from Joe's laptop. And really, who better to help with a bit of dodgy tech infiltration than Ross? The bloke has always had a talent for crossing the line. The tension here is palpable. Just picture the scene. They are mid-hack, sweating buckets inside Home Farm, and in walks Dawn Fletcher. Honestly, my heart would stop. Now Robert, thinking on his feet as always, spills the beans to Dawn about what Joe is really hiding on that computer. The fan theories on the forums are already going wild over this interaction. Will Dawn actually see the light about her fiancé? We all know Joe has a deeply vile streak, but Dawn has been blinding herself to it for months, hoping for the fairy tale ending. The real question is whether Dawn covers for Robert or throws him straight to the wolves. Personally, I reckon she's going to use this information to play her own quiet game against Joe. Dawn is tougher than she looks, and finding out Joe is manipulating Victoria and John might just be the final straw. It leads perfectly into our next bit of drama, because while Home Farm is dealing with hackers, over at the hospital things are taking a much darker, far more tragic turn. Moving on to spoiler 2, Moira fans, brace yourselves, because you are getting whiplash this week. We get this beautiful, tender reunion between Cain and Moira at the hospital. Massive cheers to Liam Kavanagh for playing matchmaker and getting them a private room. Moira gets the brilliant news that her murder charges are likely being dropped, though she still has the modern slavery complicity hanging over her head. But in that quiet moment, Cain finally bites the bullet. He drops the tough guy act and admits he is terrified about his upcoming surgery. It's exactly the sort of vulnerable, raw Cain we absolutely love to see. But you just knew the producers wouldn't let them be happy for more than 5 minutes, did you? The bloke hands his newly running car keys to young Kyle, hops on the phone to Moira to tell her everything is going to be alright, and bam, he's hit by a car. Properly shocking stuff. To make it 1,000 times worse, Moira hears the whole horrible impact over the phone. Can you imagine the sheer panic? She is stuck in the hospital waiting for an MRI, listening to her husband being mown down, and poor Kyle being the one to find his dad's unconscious, bleeding body. That boy has been through enough trauma to last a lifetime. The village is going to be pointing fingers everywhere. Was it an accident, or was it a targeted attack? Given the enemies Cain has made over the years, the suspect list is miles long. If you ask me, the timing is far too suspicious. Which brings us to another villager who is finding themselves in seriously deep water. Spoiler 3. Jacob Sugden is in an absolute state, and I genuinely feel for the lad. He's training to save lives, pouring his heart into his medical career, but he's just made an error that could finish him before he's even properly started. Giving CPR to a patient with a strict do not resuscitate order, and it being Dr. Todd's father of all people. You can practically feel the dread radiating through the screen. Dr. Todd understandably gives him a furious dressing down and sends him packing. Before we get into the fallout of Jacob's massive career crisis, if you are loving our weekly Dales chats, do hit that subscribe button. It's completely free, and it means we can keep enjoying a proper gossip about the village together every single week. Now, what has got everyone talking online is Kerry's reaction to the hospital drama. Kerry overhears Dr. Todd having another go at Jacob, and she decides to go full mama bear. Now, we know Kerry means well. She wants to protect Jacob, especially seeing how emotional and broken he is over the mistake. But honestly, when has Kerry ever made a delicate professional situation better by shouting her mouth off? Absolutely never. Viewers are convinced she is just putting a massive target on Jacob's back. Instead of letting the hospital handle it officially, Kerry going in all guns blazing, telling Dr. Todd she has met her match, is bound to make the doctor double down on punishing Jacob. It's a tragic mess, and Kerry fears she's ruined his chances. But she's about to find out she has enough mess in her own backyard to worry about. And that brings us to spoiler 4. Eric Pollard, what on earth are you playing at? I am actually quite furious with him this week, faking injuries and pretending to fall just to guilt-trip Kerry into staying home with him. It is classic manipulative Pollard, reminding us of his older, darker days, but it has completely backfired. He gets it into his head that Kerry and Jai, who yes, are having a secret fling, are actually plotting to chuck him in a care home. So Eric goes on the offensive. He confronts them both, exposing the affair, but simultaneously revealing his own deceit. It is a spectacular, fiery show showdown. Kerry's reaction is absolutely brilliant though. The moment she realizes he's been faking the falls because he doesn't trust her, the guilt over Jai completely vanishes, and the pure rage takes over. He actually kicks her out. Even Caleb Milligan steps in to remind Eric how much Kerry has sacrificed for him over the years. When Caleb is the voice of reason in your life, you know you've completely messed up. The forums are completely divided on this storyline. Some think Kerry deserves the boot for cheating with Jai, but others feel Pollard pushed her into another man's arms with his endless scheming and paranoia. Now she's demanding a divorce and moving out, with Jai offering her a place to stay. Is this really the end for Eric and Kerry? While Eric is left alone to nurse his pride, another village favorite is facing an impossible choice of the heart. Finally, spoiler 5. The absolute heartbreak of the Marlon, Rhona and Graham love triangle. Just seeing those names together brings back so much rich, complicated history. Rhona lies to Marlon about a veterinary house call just so she can tend to a battered and bleeding Graham up at home farm. Apparently, Graham took a beating from a gang after terminating a contract, and Rhona just can't stay away when he's hurt. The tension between Rhona and Graham is undeniable. They share this incredibly charged moment, almost kissing, and of course poor Marlon secretly witnesses the whole thing. Mark Charnock's acting is going to absolutely destroy us this week. That pained look on Rhona's face when Marlon later asks if she still loves Graham will shatter hearts across the nation. The big cliffhanger here is Rhona meeting Graham outside the Woolpack to deliver her final decision. Who does she choose? The safety, warmth and history of her husband Marlon, or the dangerous, undeniable pull of Graham Foster? But the real mystery is what happens the morning after. Graham has some sort of crossed wires conversation with Marlon and speeds off in his car like a man possessed. Where is he rushing off to? Some fans think he's heading off to deal with the gang that attacked him, whilst others think he's leaving the village for good so Rhona can be happy. Meanwhile, Marlon and Paddy organising a trip to Andy's man club is such a poignant, necessary touch. It looks like Marlon is going to need a safe space to open up about his crumbling marriage. It's brilliant seeing the soap continue to highlight such an important charity for men's mental health. Well, what an exhausting emotional week we have in store. Honestly, my nerves are in shreds just thinking about it. Will Cain pull through after that horrific hit and run? Or will he miss the vital surgery he was already dreading? And who do you think Rhona will ultimately choose, Marlon or Graham? I desperately want to know what you lot think. So get down into the comments section and leave your best theories. Are you Team Robert or Team Joe in the home farm hacker war? And do you feel sorry for Eric, or is he getting exactly what he deserves for manipulating Kerry? Let's get a proper debate going down below. If you enjoyed today's video, please do give it a massive thumbs up. It really helps the channel out and lets me know you love the soap updates. And if you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed with the notification bell turned on so you never miss out on our weekly Dales catch-ups. Thanks so much for watching, mate, and I'll see you in the next one for even more village drama. Ta-ra for now.